Do you ever find yourself in a dance class and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. This doesn't look good on me. I'm not doing it right. It looks better on them. They're learning faster. Well, I'm here to tell you that thoughts like those are rejection. And this episode is all about getting comfortable with rejection. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are talking about rejection and how hard it can be as a dancer to overcome the rejection, not just with roles or trying out for things. I really mean during the actual dance class throughout the learning process. So let's begin. I'm going to paint this picture for you. You're at class. You're a beginner dancer. You're learning. What you see around you is a bunch of amazing people doing a bunch of amazing things, including the person to the right of you, in front of you, to the left of you. It's probable that you might be in the back somewhere and not in the front row. Might be trying to blend in, and you realize that you're learning and your mind goes into this incredible overwhelm, which we have talked about before. Overwhelm is a very common thing to happen. And what you're feeling is rejection. However, you might not know to name it that. And so what it might sound like in your head when you're talking to yourself is, here's another thing that you can't do. Here's another thing that everyone around you is doing so well and you're not. You thought you could learn dance, but doesn't look like that's going so well, does it? And the reason why I know this is because I tell you, I like to interview my students always and see hey, so you told me you were in your head, but what did that sound like? And I've learned through these interviews that you can be very mean to yourself in your head. So today in this episode, I want to go over the idea of rejection and how it is so great to get cozy and build a relationship with rejection, not just for dance, but for everything that you're doing in the world. So I'm going to flash back to a story when I used to sell Isogenics, and I still actually drink Isogenics protein shakes and other products. It's a protein supplement company, and I love their protein shakes. So when I first started, it was starting not just to enjoy the products, but it was to also sell the products. And through this process, you saw so many things that were possible. There was this chart that was become a millionaire while selling Isogenics. And that was just so enticing. And it seemed so possible. And everyone that was on your leg was working so hard to get there and to work towards that. And we saw it be so possible. And I spoke about this, how I went to the convention that year and saw and met and got to hear deep stories of the people that did become millionaires that year from selling Isogenics. It was such a cool possibility. It actually seemed like it was right next door to me or an arm's length reach away. And I remember just being so into it. So therefore, when I get into something, as I always do, I dive in very hard. I'm the deep end type of person. I like to dive in the deep end and go hardcore. So I got all the books. I signed up for the talks that were around my neighborhood. I went to Connecticut, to Boston. It was cool because you were meeting people, like-minded people, and you were getting familiar with what I later found out was sales. And I had this friend and she was in sales. She was older than me, so I always admired her and her success. And she just knew a lot of these terms already because I remember telling her a little bit about it. What was so cool was that I found this to be useful for my studio as well. And I'll never forget one of the phrases that I learned and got really comfortable with was ask 30, get one. And it was the concept of asking 30 people for one yes. And that meant that you were going to get 29 no's. And that was kind of the statistic, the math behind it. I just think it was okay, it was all right. Well, how many people do I know? And how can I get people on board with this amazing opportunity? One, because this was the first protein shake that I ever had in my entire life that felt really good when I drank it and felt amazing afterwards. There was no bodily functions happening. That was one of the biggest problems with other protein shakes. And it tasted good. I could actually drink it and enjoy it. It was a combination, twofold experience of getting people to see whoa, these are amazing products. And then two, you can make money. We're about to make money too. And I did make money through this company. And it was really cool. They had this card that would load with everything that would be processed. And it would come on a Monday, which is an exciting day to get paid. So it was in that experience that I got really familiar and comfortable with the idea of rejection. Now, I had already been very comfortable with rejection, and through my reflections and like my deep work, I can see, well, rejection was part of me so often because of dance. And we would go to these conventions and dance all weekend, and they would handpick these girls and they would select them to either get a scholarship for the weekend or for another convention weekend, or they would handpick them to be in a video. Us at the studio that I went to, none of us got picked. We were just like, yeah, we weren't really expecting ever to get picked because there was just so much more talent, if you can imagine, in these rooms. It's just so many people, number one, and then two, the talent was just insane. So yeah, we didn't go in expecting to get picked at all. We didn't expect to get picked for a group. We didn't expect to get picked for a project with the choreographer. We just went in to dance and to just thoroughly enjoy dance. There were other moments in my life where I really experienced rejection. A bunch were in college, which is so ironic. And I like to tell this story because when you're going to college and, they're kind of wooing you a little bit on the tour and they keep saying, oh, you can get involved. There's so many ways to get involved. And there's this club and this club and this club. Well, let me tell you, at one of the schools that wooed me this way, I was like, cool. Like, I love, me, I love to be involved. I remember signing up to audition for 13 different clubs, 13, because that's how involved I wanted to be. I got 3 yeses because I was involved with 3 things on the campus that I auditioned for. And there were things that were like, you came close, but we had to go another way. And again, that was even better than that statistic, right? Because it said 30 for 1 yes, that was 13 for 3 yeses. So maybe it was like a better stat for the college. You can get involved a little bit more because otherwise I would have been like maybe not involved with anything if I went by that statistic. And so it was a big disappointment because these were like voluntary clubs. So I will never forget when I auditioned for aerobics instructor. And this kind of led to my trajectory with fitness and teaching people how to use their bodies, and me becoming a personal trainer, and me even having this like huge following for Zumba, and thus leading me to have enough confidence to open up the studio. So everything happens for a reason. If that phrase can get annoying, but it does become true. And being so familiar with rejection, you're like, okay, well, bring it on. Like, what are we doing? What's next? And when you're a dancer, you get so familiar with that because you might be in the front row for a routine and then boom, the choreographer or the instructor just switches you and you're in the back now, or you're in the middle. I'll never forget, I was traveling. My brother had a vacation in college and our vacation was a different vacation. And I came back and my spot was gone. Like, I was in the front row tip, which obviously was big for me. And I remember I left and like all of a sudden the spots were shifted and I was like, oh my God, I left and now my spot was hijacked. And just having that feeling, but being able to swallow it and be like, okay, well, this is what it is now. And although now I'm saying this and I like clearly remember it. So it's like funny how the rejection can still stick with you. It's just how you move through it and how you process it, and how you know that it's not about you. It's just about how it went that week. So when you're in class and you're taking a brand new dance class or a brand new instructor or a brand new style, you're going to have these ideas. And these ideas are, I can do it. I've got this. And those ideas are awesome. I had those ideas when I tried out for all these things. I was like, I can do this. I can see myself leading tours on campus. I see myself doing all of the things that I did not do. I did not do them. And I remember they had something called the Friars Club, and you wear white coats and you like get to take these people on these amazing tours that I went on, and you get to like open doors for people and just like do stuff that like I feel like I would love to do. And I didn't get that. I wasn't able to do that. I auditioned and boom, didn't get it. And I'm fine. I'm like, okay. And so will you be when you take the class and you realize, hey, you did play field hockey in high school, and guess what? That doesn't translate to you being a dancer. Or, hey, you do have great body awareness when you play volleyball, but hey, guess what? That has nothing to do with dance. Because oftentimes people come in with these false ideas, like, I'll probably be good at that. Why? Dancers make things look so easy. We do. We make things look so light and soft and slow when they're actually fast. It's quite amazing if you've ever watched it. And what happens to newbies is they get this false perception of, I can do that, no problem. And then they're quickly humbled with all of the rejection that they're feeling because their bodies and their brains aren't on the same page. So what can happen sometimes is that your brain is like, you got this, you got this. And your body's like, I actually don't. I'm just like picturing Phoebe and Rachel and Monica when they go to the dance class in Friends. And, Rachel kind of gets it. Monica's like completely lost. And Phoebe is also completely lost, but her attitude towards it is like, I'm totally getting it. Mine's like, come on, body, you got this, you got this. And your body's like, no, I totally don't have this. Like, I'm lost. I'm confused. And I don't know how to ask a question. And that, when you name it, it's rejection. And it becomes less powerful and more manageable when you can name it versus going to class and feeling confused. Like everyone around me was getting it, but I'm not really sure what just happened. So rejection can feel really sneaky because it can be that you're not picking up the choreography. It could be that you don't hear the musicality right. It could be the moment where the teacher decides to, hey, we're going to move on, but you're not ready yet. It could be taking corrections and knowing that you weren't exactly in the spot that you thought you were in. Or a correction like point your toes when you think like, well, I thought my toes were pointed. Or just watching everyone around you getting it faster, though that might not be the truth. They might look like they're getting it faster, but maybe they just have a better relationship with rejection, knowing, hey, I didn't get that, but I'm going to keep moving on. Or, hey, that move still hurts. When I do this, I'm just going to keep moving on. And you're catching glimpses of it and you're making assumptions based off of what you're seeing. So you're not seeing their struggle with rejection either. And the reasons why rejection like this is so difficult is because we internalize this feeling. We make it something to do with our worth. So in other words, if I can remember this, then I'm worthy of learning dance. Or if I can remember this, I guess I'm a good dancer and that makes me a great person. Or if I learn this fast, then I'm talented. And we take this sense of ease, if we had the sense of ease towards the learning process, as, wow, I belong here. When actually, you can feel the exact opposite of all of those things and still belong and still be a dancer and get the opportunity to get comfortable sucking while you're learning. And I just don't think that subject is talked about enough, which is why I think I have like 4 episodes on this already. And one obviously is the ugly stage. The other one is what's called Don't Quit. And if you can, you get to imagine yourself as another person and how you would talk to that person while they're trying really hard to do something that you see them doing. So I flash back to those instances where I was getting all of those no's when I was reaching out to tell people about this cool product, Isogenics, and how many people said no, but also seemed so excited about it. The confusion that comes up when you're saying, oh, hey, like you've been coming to my class for so many days. Are you going to come again? And then they ghost and they don't come. Rejection. Or the moment where you try out for a bunch of things and you don't get any of them. And it's not because you don't deserve to get any of them. It's just because there's a bigger picture. Dance is the big picture. It's no wonder that there's so much rejection. It's like, how are you going to learn and get better if you're better? Then you're not going through a learning process. You're just in the process. You're not a learner. And sometimes when you've already adapted this mindset, you don't think of it like that because you're just like, oh, yeah, that's part of it. Josh and I were watching football over the weekend and I just had so many questions because like it's been a while since I've sat down and watched football. And I feel like my perspective changes every time goes by. So the last time I think I sat down and really thought about football was probably in like 2018. And it's thrilling watching it, what their bodies can do. And I'm just like, Josh, do you think that hurts them? Or do you think that they're just like used to it? And through conversation, we came to the conclusion that, yeah, they're probably just so used to it. And he was like, well, think about it. Like when you get home from dance, like you're sore, but you're like ready for more. And I'm like, yeah, I like want more dance like right now. Snowstorms have been crazy and I just want to dance. And so, yeah, he was like, think about the times like when you're dancing and like you don't feel pain because you're dancing, but you're in so much pain like before or after. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so true. So our bodies get ready physically for the sport, the activity, or the art that we do. And so does our mind. So my mind gets myself ready for rejection all the time because I never know what my body's going to say to me that day. I'm always thinking, wonder how this is going to go. And then it's in those moments where I feel I can do this today or gonna need a modification, but I'm fully equipped to be able to do that. A newbie baby beginner is not. They don't even know that that's a thing. I was having this conversation with one of my students today, and she was like, my knee hurts. And she was like, I don't think I can come all week. I was like, babe, you can. This is when we bring in the word modification. This is when we learn the other aspects of dance that are so amazing because they're the parts of dance that are deeper than dance. They're the parts of dance that are more than dance. And it's getting an opportunity to use your facials, getting an opportunity to connect more with the musicality, knowing that if you're not going to use a body part, where else can you push harder? I know that when I'm in pain, you would never know. My face is so on. And then after you might actually see because you'll watch me walk off stage and it'll be like, oh, what happened there? Are you in pain? And I'd be like, yeah. Because something happens when you're dancing. We just get like possessed by movement and it's awesome. To learn that is part of the learning process of dance as well. Being able to say things are going to be a little different today and to know that that's not problematic. That's just your body is rejecting it that day. It's just like, hey, not today. And that's fine because we're like, okay, when? Tomorrow? Not tomorrow. We'll see. And then you make your detour. You figure out your way to get around and do the same thing. That's what a detour is. You're doing the same thing, you just did it a different way. So when you can start to expect discomfort and expect this rejection, your experience of it is going to feel a lot different. When you get to normalize these struggles, it's just part of the process. So you're like, okay, like I know I'm going to struggle. Where's it at? Let me get in. And when you plan for these moments of messiness or the ugly stage, it's so part of the process. And you know how to adapt so hard that it's as if it never fazed you. You no longer think about your worth being attached to it. So if you are a beginner getting comfortable with rejection, I am giving you this virtual hug right now because I know how hard it is at first. I think that's the biggest thing, is to know that it's not going to be that hard at first for that long. Give yourself a moment to decide ahead of time that you will forget. You're going to forget the dance. We all do. Work on your presence and keep returning after hard classes. And when you question it, think about all the great ways that dance teaching you rejection is actually helping your life. It could be through jobs that you interview for. It could be through offers that you put on a house. It could be through the experience of getting pregnant. It could be through dating and going on apps and meeting weirdos. Rejection is here and it's not going anywhere. So here are some reflection questions for you this week to think about and write about if you are a journaler. 1 is, what do I make forgetting a dance mean about me? 2 is, where do I leave when I start to feel uncomfortable? 3 is, what would change if I was able to expect struggle? 4 is, what does staying the course look like for me? And lastly, just remember that rejection never means to stop. It means you're in the process and you're doing the work. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And I actually did just think of this other story of rejection that I'll leave you with. There is a speaker, she speaks all around the cities in the US. And she did this funny rejection experiment where she bought this large cheese pizza from like a really nice place and like carried around in a box and went into a hotel lobby. And she walked around to different like clusters of people asking them if they wanted a free pizza. And she got so many rejections. I mean, it was just kind of funny like watching it too, because it's like, I don't know what I would have done like with a pizza. I probably like would have been like, no, thanks. But eventually she did get her yes, and people did accept her large cheese free pizza. But where, and I guess maybe this is a 5th question, where can you go out in the wild and practice rejection and get more familiar with rejection? And that might mean the next time that you're in class and you're feeling like, oh, I didn't do it. Maybe you get a chance to be aware to say, whoa, this is that rejection feeling, and I know exactly how I'm going to reframe this. So I hope that this was helpful. And if you want to help a dancer just like you on their dance journey, it would mean the absolute world to me if you shared this with them. This is one of the best ways the podcast can grow and keep providing value to others. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.